Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best goal scorers of the 2020 NHL Draft. Now, when we look at this 2020 NHL Draft class, there isn't an Alex Ovechkin or an Austin Matthews goal scoring wise, but there's a lot of prospects here that, in my humble opinion, can get upwards of 30 goals and even more than that when you look at the top end guys like an Alexis Lafreniere. But who do I see as the best goal scorers of this 2020 draft, and which prospects make my top 10? Watch till the end for all my picks and rankings, and of course hit that big red subscribe button if you're new. And now getting us started with the 10th selection, my 10th best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL Draft. This is a guy that I could either see going up to the NHL, getting upwards of a 20 goal season potentially, especially being an offensive threat, or a guy that just ends up not even getting to the NHL level, that being Tyson Forster of the Barrie Colts. Now, when it comes to Tyson Forster, there's a lot to like, but also some pretty big red flags. In the season with the Barrie Colts, was able to get 80 points in 62 games played, which was first in team scoring by 33 points. Now, that's the good part. But when you look at those 36 goals, 50% of them were on the power play, which for me personally, when we're looking at long-term production and consistency, I'm really not sure if that will directly translate to the AHL or even the NHL level. But when it comes to just having a pure shot and when the ice is open, finding his way and getting to the front of the net, Tyson Forster is definitely one of the better bets in this whole draft. Although I don't have him in my first round right now, I have him ranked just outside at number 33, still a guy that offensively can still bring that goal scoring. Now going on to my 9th best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL Draft, and a guy that I personally think will have a much better career than Forster, that being Jacob Perrault of the Sarnia Sting. Now Perrault in 57 games was able to get 39 goals, 31 assists for 70 points, second in team scoring by the way, and offensively there is a lot to like. Defensively, let's just say let's not rely on him for now because it is not all too great. But offensively, hey, it's a lot more peachy clean. Again, overall a great season in the OHL, but a guy that I think will translate very nicely to the NHL level, both in the goal scoring and the playmaking department. Really has an extra gear in him. The speed is very cool to see, and transitionally is one of the best prospects in this draft, I think. Can definitely find himself in the open areas very cleanly, and is a guy that's shifty, very speedy, and uses that to score goals and create opportunities for his teammates. He might not be a 40 goal scorer or something, but a guy that I think can reach upwards of maybe 50, maybe even 60 points if everything goes right. Now going on to my 8th best goal scorer of the 2020 draft, and a guy that I haven't really covered too much on this channel, but goal scoring wise, deserves the praise, that being Daniel Gusten of the USHL. Now, in 42 games with Muskegon, got 22 goals, 25 assists for 47 points. Don't let those assists, though, fool you, because I think there's a lot more potential in the goal scoring. He might not have the most amazing shot of all time, definitely not up there with a guy like Quinn or Holtz, but in terms of getting himself in the areas to score, really converting on chances and creating chances for himself also, that's a player that I think will be dangerous offensively. Again, he is 5'8", so there is some very big risk here, but in terms of creating chances and scoring on those chances, Gusten is a pretty solid bet to make it, in my opinion. Now going on to my 7th best goal scorer of the 2020 draft, and a guy that is legendary on this channel, that being Yohan Masuk. Now Masuk is a guy that goal scoring wise and playmaking wise I think has a lot of potential, but the goal scoring is I think what's very interesting when it comes to Masuk. Now in the OHL with Hamilton, played 22 games, getting 15 goals, 10 assists for 25 points. In that time, his points per game was 3rd on the entire team. And I think, yes, the playmaking is brilliant, and I like the passing with Masuk a lot, but the goal scoring is also an asset of his game that doesn't really get talked enough. I really like that shot, and it's very accurate as well. A thing that I think will dominate the junior over the next couple of years, but also getting himself into the areas to score, a lot like Gusten, where he just finds those opportunities, finds those areas, and usually ends up converting on them, which so far in his OHL career has been the case. Now going on to my 6th best goal scorer of the 2020 draft, we're going to get into the first suite of this video, that being Noel Gunler. Now, Noel Gunler is, in my opinion, one of the more underrated prospects of this entire draft. A guy that offensively just brings everything you'd want in terms of offensive production, but also creating chances, rushing up the puck, and having great speed and skill. But the goal scoring is something that I think often gets overlooked with Gunler. In the SHL, he was able to get 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points. But that's a player that I think when it comes to the top end upside here is a guy that I think can score upwards of 25 goals or more in the NHL. I think that shot is very sneaky, very nasty, but again, he's more along the line of players that make the opportunities for himself. No BS, always gets into the crease, and a guy that will end up scoring if he wants to. Now going on to the 5th best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL draft, and the guy that, in my opinion, has been rising steadily over the past few months, that being Seth Jarvis of the Portland Winterhawks. Now, Seth Jarvis is quickly becoming, like Perrault, one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft. In 58 games, got 42 goals, 56 assists for 98 points, first across the entire WHL. And even though he has 14 more assists than he does goals, I think Jarvis has an excellent opportunity to be a major goal scorer in the NHL, especially as the season went on. Even though the assists were very good, the goal scoring, in my opinion, is what really saw the rose, where he really created the chance for himself, but also used his teammates very smartly. On the power play, was a really great converter of chances, and a guy that, on top of being an excellent playmaker, has a great shot. And again, the sense of goal scoring, getting in the right areas to score, Seth Jarvis is one of the best in this draft. Now going on to my 4th best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL draft, and this is where we start to get into the big time prospects here. Coming in number 4, I have Quinton Byfield. Now, Byfield sits number 2 in my prospect rankings, and for very good reason. A guy that I think, on top of being a supreme playmaker, also has the potential to go upwards of 30, maybe even 35 goals plus in the NHL level. Now, in 45 games with Sudbury, got 32 goals, 50 assists for 82 points. And again, as an August birthday, super impressive stats, all things considered. But Byfield, in my opinion, again, on top of being an amazing passer, has a shot that I think he's definitely going to use more next season if he's sent back down to junior. Has a great shot, in my opinion, when it comes to accuracy and also being lethal in the right moments, and especially in tight. That's a guy that I think can score a lot of big-time goals. Although I don't see him being this premier force in front of the net quite yet. That's a player that I think will use his size a lot more, and especially goal scoring, especially on the power play next season, I think will get an even bigger role. Now going on to my 3rd best goal scorer of the 2020 draft, that being the best prospect just in general in the 2020 draft, that being Alexis Lafreniere. Now, let's not kid ourselves, Lafreniere will be primarily a playmaker, could get upwards of 60, maybe even 70 assists alone in a season when it's all said and done at his peak. But I think the goal scoring is also something that will be a part of his arsenal. I don't see him being like a 45 or 50 goal scorer in the NHL level, but a guy that I think can have quite a few 30 goal seasons, maybe even reach the 40 goal mark at some point. I think it does depend on the team that drafts him, but even though he is more of a playmaker, he is still the best prospect in this draft, and the goal scoring when it comes to creating chances for himself, and again, still having a lethal shot by itself. I mean, even though he is a primary passer, that shot is still freaking brilliant. But now going on to my 2nd best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL draft, and between number 1 and number 2, in my opinion, it's between Alexander Holtz and Jack Quinn. But coming at number 2, my 2nd best goal scorer of the draft, I have OHLer Jack Quinn. Now, Jack Quinn just rose over the season with the Ottawa 67s, being better and better as the season went on. When it was all said and done, was 8th in OHL scoring, 62 games played, 52 goals, 37 assists for 89 points. Definitely showing his goal scoring skill and being one of the better, just pure offensive players in the entire draft. Now, the 52 goals do not lie. Even though a lot of that was on the power play, he still was able to get a lot of chances for himself, create a lot of chances too. And in my opinion, although Jack Quinn isn't the best goal scorer just in terms of creating chances for himself and really setting himself up for success, he does, in my opinion, have the best shot of the draft. And even though it is close, in one word, I would describe that shot as just purely dominant. It is just insane how fast it can go off his stick, and in terms of accuracy, insanely dominant, and a guy that I think can score 30 goals in the NHL level goal, even if the defense might be a problem. And now going on to my number 1 best goal scorer of the 2020 NHL draft. And again, don't get me wrong, there is a tiny gap between him and Jack Quinn. But at number 1, I have Swedish winger Alexander Holtz. Now, Alexander Holtz, in my opinion, I think he gets edged out in terms of just the best shot. But in terms of having the most potential to score the most goals, I think Alexander Holtz is the best in this draft. Now, in terms of really getting into the high danger chances and creating them for himself, it wasn't quite amazing in the SHL this year, but he was still able to convert on a lot of chances, got 9 goals in 35 games, which for an 18-year-old is definitely good to see. And that's a player that, although I think it will take some time, I think is a guy that can get upwards of 35 goals, maybe even 40 if it all does pan out, but a guy that just has a lethal offensive sense, great skating, great puck skills, and the shot, I don't even know if I need to explain it. It's pretty good. But those are my picks for the best goal scorers in the 2020 draft. Thanks so much for you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Of course, with this video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Trying to get to 15K subscribers. Of course, with this video also, make sure you comment down below your thoughts, what you agree and disagree with, and let me know your best goal scorers in the 2020 draft with this video. Make sure you share it, get it out with your friends, boys, anybody you know is interested in the draft, and also click on this card right here for all my 2021 NHL draft content. My name is Nathan. I don't know why I'm talking with a chill tone right now, but hey, I'll take it either way. Goodbye.